This is the hottest 200-meter field ever assembled at the Olympic Games. Second attempt now to get them away. Peter Norman did get a good start, I thought. Smith is doing well. His leg seems to be standing up okay. Look at Carlos go in the center of the field, and Questad is not beaten by any means. Peter Norman running beautifully, and he's got them heading into the 100 meters. Peter Norman is flying on the outside. Here comes Eigenherr of West Germany. He's a threat. So too is the Trinidadian Roberts. In the center of the field is Tommie Smith running through, and Peter Norman runs a place. Smith, pulled muscle and all, couldn't have pulled it that badly. He beat John Carlos. And Peter Norman could have run a second place. Whether second or third, it was a great performance.
The Mexico Olympics of 1968 experienced one of the most shocking moments as a protest in the middle of the United States anthem shocked the world. During the time where the Black Panther and the Black Power movement were prominent, times were tense in America as many Americans protested against the Vietnam War and other national problems. Before the 1968 Olympics started, Tommie Smith tried to boycott the Olympics because of his anger towards the situation of African Americans at this time. He got support from the Black Panther movement and the famous civil rights organizer, Stokely Carmichael, but failed because black athletes did not participate, fearing of losing their income to feed their families, and because of the sabotaging acts of Avery Brundage, who was at the time the 5th president of the International Olympic Committee. During the same year of 1968, Martin Luther King was shot dead, as well as Robert F. Kennedy, which caused people to grow more frustrated and scared at the same time. Some African Americans were growing tired of peaceful protesting and approached a more violent way of protesting. After a black athlete protest who boycotted the Olympic Games failed prior to the Olympics, Tommie Smith and John Carlos were still determined to showcase their frustration of the situation of African Americans in America. However, no one knew they were going to do it in the middle of the national anthem, as Tommie Smith winning the gold medal, Peter Norman the silver medal, and John Carlos the bronze medal. They decided right before going to the ceremony to protest by taking off their shoes to symbolize the poverty that blacks were facing back in the United States, beads around their necks to show the violence blacks were going through, and raising their fists during the national anthem wearing a black glove to represent Black America and showcase that they're united. During the national anthem there was pure silence, and people were awestruck by the protest that Tommie Smith, John Carlos, and Peter Norman did. They were getting criticized as they were walking out, and once again Tommie Smith raised his fist. Many were worried that they would get shot on the spot because of what had happened to MLK and Robert F. Kennedy that same year. When asked after the protest, Tommie and John explained the reasonings behind their protest by stating they used the Olympic stage so that the whole world could see the poverty and different things African Americans were experiencing in America, followed by Tommie Smith saying that he was proud to be a black man. Days later, they were both suspended and ordered out of Mexico in the next 2 days. Avery Brundage was behind the suspension. When they got home, they were praised by their friends and colleagues from the US, but their lives were ruined. They lost everything, including Tommie Smith losing his wife of suicide. Tommie Smith decided to coach track and field after moving around the country. Even Peter Norman, who tried to be involved in the protest and wear a public civil rights pin, lost everything and got kicked out of the team. This protest was important and crucial in the civil rights movement because it gave light and exposure to the life that blacks were living in the United States to the world. During the time of violence and black militia groups, they went towards a more of a civil disobedience protest rather than a violence or peaceful. As time went on, till this day, they do not regret their actions even if it cost them everything during that time. They did it to send a message to the world about African Americans and what they were going through at that time. Once seen as villains of America, now they are seen as heroes of the civil rights movement.
And I felt when the hand went up, time was coming to an end. As soon as we walked off, I heard boos and catcalls, and I saw the most vivid depictions of hate, the most vivid depiction of how could you, boy, how could you do this to your country? How could you do this to these games? You're black, you should stay that way. And that's what I saw going back across the track. My fist went up in the air again because of what I saw in the stands, and there was a fist of frustration, and that was it. It was not a joyous fist. You could see it in my strides, you could see it in my whole demeanor. I did not want to take this action, and I've been asked many times did I regret doing it, and it's not regret that I did it, only that it had to be done to bring a point. Racist tendencies had to be addressed some way. I had to do it to make a change.